Well, hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content. My name is Dan. I'm back for a Sunday stream. We always do these Sunday streams after every late kickoff of the Sunday games. Welcome back. What a week. What a game week. Interesting one. Really interesting one. Let's put it out that way. Usually at this point I would say chat, let me know who scored the highest points this week. But you know what, we give too much attention to the high scores, I think. I want to actually know who's got the lowest score in the chat, because I've seen some low scores going around this week. Really quite low scores, to be perfectly honest. It's been quite wild. I think I just about have survived this week. I've got one more player to go. Let's just throw my team on screen so we can have a wee look, a wee butcher's hook. So, 28 points for me. It will go up to 34 when Rodgers comes on, and then 36 when Gvardiol gets his 2 bonus points. And then we've got Henderson, let's see, can he keep a clean sheet tomorrow? Maybe. So I've survived just about, but I'm seeing people in the chat with like, Scott has got 15 points, Footy Man is on 16 points. A lot of people with points in the 20s. That it's been one of those weeks, huh? It really has. Like, and I've seen some really good managers with really good teams actually with pretty low scores this week. It happens. It happens sometimes. We just have to deal with it and move on to the next one. But there are some people with some okay scores. The highest ones I'm seeing in the chat really are kind of like 40 odd. I guess the only people with super high scores would be people who have Salah captainers. There might be a few Salah captainers out there. But Haaland, disappointing again. Do we need to talk about Haaland? Probably, to be honest. It's really strange. It's really strange to see Haaland blank now 3 times in a row. Like this game, 0 XG. 0 XG in Gameweek 8. That's quite mad. But you know why it is? Because look at the team that Man City put out against Wolves today. Erling Haaland is only as good as the service he receives. Because he is that just out-and-out goal scorer, world-class goal scorer, probably the best goal scorer in the world. If he doesn't get a chance to score a goal, then what's he going to do? But if Pep Guardiola is going to bench Foden and Grealish, you know, 2 of the most creative players in the Man City team, De Bruyne is obviously not quite ready for a start today. So that's obviously going to impact Haaland as well. It's got, you know, if the creativity isn't around Haaland, then he is going to struggle. I think it was a bit of a surprise to see Foden on the bench, actually, today. He did get an assist when he came on. Granted, it was from the corner, but still, we're surely going to see things getting back to normal. Am I making excuses? I don't know. Surely we're going to see Haaland get back to normal when De Bruyne is back next week. And maybe Foden and De Bruyne play. Maybe Grealish comes on and gets some more game time potentially there, rather than, you know, Savinho and Doku, who struggled a little bit today. That should all come together and impact Haaland in a positive way, and we're going to get our old Haaland back. Because I don't think anyone... Oh, wow, that's... You know, I changed my audio settings today, by the way, guys, so apologies if it's too loud. I still need to play around with it a little bit. But surely we get to a point where we have to accept that Haaland is not a bad player. Like, does anyone really think Haaland is suddenly a bad player, suddenly washed, suddenly never going to score a goal again? That's surely not going to happen. FPL Unknown says, poor movement. He was man-marked by Dawson throughout the game. Yeah, I mean, definitely true. Definitely got to give Dawson some credit. And it's not the first time Dawson has done this as well, by the way. Just man-marks Haaland out of the game. Happened last season as well. So I do wonder, in a game against Southampton, are we going to see something slightly different? I mean, Southampton just got absolutely cooked. Again, you know, a load of goals conceded once again. So you can definitely take some positivity from that. But also credit to Wolves. For sure, credit to Wolves. And I definitely think we do need to have a little a very serious look at Wolves and how they can improve when their fixtures are a little bit better. And one thing I do want to have a look at in today's video is, or today's stream, is to have a look at the defensive numbers from a lot of teams, because I think Wolves are not quite as bad as you think, and there are some teams that are much worse than you perhaps think as well. We've got a super chat here from Here for FPL. It says, Dan, I'm at 3.3 million overall rank. I know you're not a fan of full team reviews. I'm not, but we'll do it anyway. But please, Fleck and Trent, Saliba, Gabriel, Mykolenko, Saka, and Mbeumo, Johnson, Semenyo, Rodgers, Haaland, Solanke, Wood. 2 free transfers, wildcard used, help. This is the thing though, man. Your team is not bad. You got unlucky with the Saliba red card this week. I think, to a degree, to see Arsenal get no clean sheets in the last 3 is very surprising. But I think there is more to it that we will talk about today. And you are obviously doubled up on that Arsenal defence, but there's really nothing massively wrong with your team. So let's see how Wood gets on tomorrow. That could improve things a bit for you. I think Wood going forward is going to be a nice pick as well. There's no, outside of Saliba, and you could just play Mykolenko, to be honest. Outside of Saliba, there's no real transfers you really need to make. I mean, Saliba to Gvardiol, I think, is going to be a very popular transfer this week. Very popular indeed. But even Man City, they're not great for clean sheets, are they? Missing Palmer? True. But how are you going to get to him? You could maybe do Saka to Palmer as well. Saka to Palmer, Saliba to Gvardiol maybe resolves your problem. Bryce says, say Mbeumo again. Mbeumo, say, to be fair, Mbeumo is a old joke on this channel, is how my wife pronounced Mbeumo when she was talking about her FPL team on a stream last season. So Mbeumo is permanently known in these streams as Mbeumo. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. But no, here for FPL, your team looks pretty good, man. Haaland's just too expensive. Yeah, he's expensive when he's not getting any service. He's expensive when he's man-marked out the game. When you've got a fixture like Southampton, and if De Bruyne is playing in this game, if Foden's playing in this game, if Grealish is playing in this game, then that does change things a little bit. It really does change things. So, no, I like it. People are going to be down on Solanke as well this week. He's an absolutely fine pick. He's a very, very nice pick. Still like Solanke. And with Solanke as well, you've got the fixture coming up for him against Ipswich at home in 11. Really nice. Even Crystal Palace, Aston Villa at home, these are not bad fixtures for him. So I think Solanke will come good. I definitely still like him as a pick. But you can't have everything go right 100% of the time. Say Solanke, scores 2 out of 3 games, for example, then once every 3 games he is not going to score, and that game was this week, unfortunately. But next week it might not be, So I think you can definitely take some positives. And he look kind of dangerous at times. Maybe not exactly what we want from an FPL asset, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Spidey says, should Saka really be replaced? Depends how bad his injury is. If Saka doesn't play, because Arsenal have a midweek, don't they? Champions League. So if Saka is not playing against Shakhtar on Tuesday, so it's only a couple of days away, if he's not even in the squad for that one, I think we should definitely feel concerned. So I'm personally, for my transfers this week, now we've got the Liverpool fixture out the way, and I don't want to be too smug about this one, but I mean, come on, I was pretty hard on saying that I don't really trust Palmer in some of the in the real tough games. And I think just to elaborate that one on a little bit, because I think people think that I don't like Palmer as an FPL asset. Honestly, guys, I was one of the first people to jump on him last season when he first transferred to Chelsea. And I definitely appreciate the value that he has as an FPL asset when you have good fixtures, because I truly believe he is a flat track bully. If a defence is poor or performs poorly, like we've already seen this season twice, Brighton and Wolves, Palmer will go crazy. Absolutely crazy. But in these really difficult games against Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, he can only be as good as this team is. And, you know, players like Saka or Salah or Haaland, you know, they play for teams who can beat anyone, even the best of the best, and they will score goals against anyone, even the best of the best. And Chelsea aren't quite there yet as a team. And if your team isn't scoring goals, then you can't be involved in those goals. However, when your team can score goals, and you are the guy who is involved in so many of those goals, then you are going to get goals, you are going to get assists, and you're going to become a crucial FPL asset. And I think certainly Newcastle at home, I like as a fixture. Man United away, not as keen on that one. Arsenal at home, I think it... All right, let's just get into this. Let's just get into this. I want to get into this. So, Arsenal, I did mention this a few weeks ago, and it was one of the reasons why I don't have any Arsenal defenders in my team. And some people said, oh yeah, maybe it was because, you know, Arsenal have had some red cards this season, and that definitely has to be taken into consideration. But when we look at the defensive numbers of a team like Arsenal, it's not like anything crazy this season. Right now they're tracking a little higher after, you know, having that Leicester and Southampton fixture. They're tracking a little higher, but certainly for the start of the season, we saw Arsenal kind of like floating around mid-table for those defensive numbers. You know, by 5 they were mid-table. 6 and 7, good fixtures, come up a little bit. Gameweek 8 slipped a little bit. Like, for the price that you pay for an Arsenal defender, they're around the same as Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Man City, Spurs, Chelsea. Liverpool still way out in front. They're just like the defensive guys. So I don't know. I don't think Arsenal, and you know, against Liverpool next with no Saliba, man, I do worry a little bit about Arsenal defenders as well. And you have to wonder, are they sells? Now, the only thing that maybe says that maybe they're not sells, because I think Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, and Chelsea away, I can see them conceding 1 goal in each of these games. Liverpool, I think, will score. After that, for a defender, this is a really nice run. But again, we said that against Leicester. We said that against Southampton. Are these Arsenal defenders, for the price you pay, really any better than, you know, a Spurs defender or a Chelsea defender or an Aston Villa defender? I think we were kind of, the wool was pulled over our eyes. And this, I think, is where statistics are quite useful. The games that we saw at the start of the season, Arsenal were keeping clean sheets, but a lot of that was to do with Raya was just on a mad one, making mad saves, really, really doing super well, and actually saving and bailing Arsenal out a few times. Was that going to be sustainable? I don't know. But certainly, you know, the signs were there that maybe Arsenal weren't like... I'm not saying Arsenal are a bad defence. They're clearly not a bad defence. Like, let's be... Like, I know we can be reactionary as FPL managers, but I don't think Arsenal are, like, a bad defence. But I don't think they're the best anymore. And I think from what we've seen, they haven't been the best. Liverpool have been. Liverpool have been the best defence in the Premier League. And after that, it's kind of a bit of a mess. Outside of Liverpool, who is really impressing us defensively? Who is really keeping, you know, their oppositions out of their own net? No one really. No one is. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I look at the away fixture for Arsenal defenders. I look at the home fixture for Cole Palmer. And I like that a little bit more as a fixture than what we saw today. But maybe things come back together. Apologies, guys. I am still a bit ill. I'm still pretty ill, but I mean, we soldier on. I don't know, man. I really like this run for an Arsenal defender. Really like it on paper. But I don't want to get burnt like people got burnt in game week 6, 7, 8. Are defender transfers worth it? Full stop. I don't know. Forest haven't been too bad defensively. Oh no, for sure. For sure, I agree with that. As why I'm actually looking to remove Saka not just for the next 3, but also for Forest at home as well, and Havertz as well. Haven't quite decided how I'm going to be doing that. I think Saka to Palmer, I think, makes sense. Now we've got that Liverpool fixture out the way, and now Palmer can really show what he's all about, because Newcastle are more than capable of putting out a poor defensive performance when playing away from home. Manchester United can be a bit of a catastrophe at times, although United haven't been too bad defensively. But yeah, I think Saka to Palmer makes a lot of sense if you've got money in the bank, particularly if Saka is not in the squad for the midweek game. Or, even if he's on the bench in the midweek game, that will still worry me a little bit. But going back to defenders, like, the only defender I'm remotely interested in at the moment is this guy, Ryan Aït-Nouri. And that's only because he's got attacking potential. And I think Wolves, by the way, going back onto the Fantasy Football Hub, considering the games that Wolves have played, like, obviously they have conceded a lot of goals, but they are underperforming by quite a lot. Let's just go totals here. So, obviously Wolves are rock bottom for goals conceded. They've conceded 23. But their expected goals conceded is 15.3, which usually points towards a goalkeeper issue. Now, Jose Sa started today and was making some good saves. I wonder if that is... Well, actually, it's not just a goalkeeping issue. It's also an issue of who you face. If you face clinical strikers and clinical attacks, and Wolves, the fixtures they've played, have played against a lot of very good attackers. I was going to say Haaland, but, Man City have clinical attackers. Brentford have clinical attackers. Liverpool have, Salah and Luis Diaz and Jota. Aston Villa have Watkins. Newcastle have Isak. Nottingham Forest have Wood, but only one conceded goal there. But Wood, again, a clinical striker. Chelsea have Palmer and Jackson. Maybe Jackson is not a clinical striker. Maybe that one doesn't quite count. But Arsenal, Saka, Havertz, all of the teams that Wolves have faced so far have top quality attackers, and that's not going to be the same moving forward. At least not in. There's good attackers. There's always going to be good attackers at any Premier League team because it's one of the strongest leagues in world football. But when you compare the attackers that Wolves have faced previously compared to what's coming up, it's very different. So yes, we've seen Wolves concede 7 goals. Well, what's that? 7? Yeah, 8 more goals than expected, pretty much. That's going to be down to facing more difficult attackers and also perhaps to a degree goalkeeping issues where goalkeepers are not making the saves that they're expected to make. That is remedied by playing weaker oppositions, which we know is happening, and an improvement in the form of a goalkeeper or a changing goalkeeper. Jose Sa, potentially. So are we going to see a big change for Wolves? I think there's a very good chance. I think people who just look at past results and just look at points, maybe the exception is Aït-Nouri because obviously he's got attacking contributions, but I think we're going to see a drastic improvement compared to the first 8, the next 8. I think we're going to see a big difference to the amount of goals that Wolves concede, to be honest. But there we have it. So yeah, that's Wolves. That's the only defender I'd be interested in buying now. Now we've got the Man City game out of the way. Robertson is probably for me the obvious guy to sell, but if it's you, then maybe you've got Saliba to Aït-Nouri, Saliba to Gvardiol. If you haven't got Gvardiol, I still think he is a consideration. We've got Southampton next. Bournemouth and Brighton aren't the worst fixtures in the world, but it does get a bit dicier after that with Spurs and Liverpool. Spurs, by the way, are arch rivals of Man City in many ways, because Spurs do like a goal against City. But yeah, I think there's a strong argument to be made, particularly as he's only 4.4 million. We'll have a look at price changes later as well. I wonder if he's going to be up to 4.5 anytime soon. I think that's a good place to go for this next run if you are looking to replace a defender. Outside of Aït-Nouri and Gvardiol, like, honestly, guys, has anyone got any suggestions of other defenders that might be interested? Because honestly, not really seeing anything. It might be a case of just sticking with what you got, hoping for the best. Yoban says, well, Yoban and Mark both suggesting some Nottingham Forest defenders. That's definitely a possibility as well. Fixtures are there. We've got, well, won't get Palace if you're making a move now, but Leicester is not bad. It is away. West Ham at home. For a defender, do we love these fixtures? I think I like these fixtures more from an attacker's point of view than a defender's point of view. There are some trinkets of joy. There's a lot of bad fixtures in here, though, for a defender in particular. I think certainly Arsenal, Man City, Man United away, Aston Villa, Brentford, Spurs in particular. This run is horror. So you might have to look at making a transfer around there. Unless you've got a wild card, maybe you can do something there. But this is rough. But for this period of fixtures, is it worth a transfer? I feel like an Arsenal defender, even in a tough fixture, or a Liverpool defender, have just as good chance. They are more expensive, but it's got good goal threat. Milenkovic has got decent goal threat, yeah. It is a little bit boosted by the kind of open goal that he missed against Southampton, but obviously he is a very tall bloke. Thoughts on Trent moving forward? I'm not ready to get rid of Trent, personally. I think the double Liverpool defence is maybe, time to move on from that, but no, I think you just take the Arsenal away fixture on the chin. And by the way, Arsenal didn't score against Bournemouth, and Liverpool are a better defence than Bournemouth. Yeah, maybe you take the Arsenal away game on the chin, though, and then kind of think, all right, Liverpool are still the best defence. They are the one team that has offered, and obviously it doesn't happen every week, and it didn't happen this week, but when it comes to providing clean sheets to your FPL team, no team has done better than Liverpool. And even if you get one every other week, I think that's good. I think that's good enough given the current state of defenders in FPL. And obviously the attacking potential as well. The attacking potential that Trent is always going to have and provide. So no, I don't think it's time to sell Trent. The only exception to that is if you need to free up some money. But honestly, I'm looking at, you've got players like Arsenal defenders, Arsenal attackers as well. That selling our Arsenal players might be a really nice way to free up budget this week, rather than removing the Liverpool guys. So yeah, I don't think Trent is a sell. City defense is so bad. Yeah, kind of. But Gvardiol and Lewis, to be fair, has that attacking potential. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. Gvardiol will have a 10-point this week. You take that. You take that all day. Goalkeeper options for Raya. If I had Raya, I would stick with him. I think the goalkeeper transfers, I think, should be kept at a minimum. Really. But if I had to go for a goalkeeper right now, who would I go for? I'd maybe have a look at Pickford, because Everton seem to be improving defensively over the last 4 game weeks. Maybe that's fixtures, kind of fixture related. The good fixtures do keep coming for a little while. It does get a little bit bad after that, to be fair. But no, I don't think I'd be making any goalkeeper transfers right now. Do we know when Wissa is back? Wissa played 30 minutes this week, and he's a player. In fact, that's something I also wanted to talk about today. Is 30 minutes, 24 minutes. He played 24 minutes, pretty nice from the bench, and we know that he was really good. So let's go have a look at some forwards, because I think, and as someone who's thinking about making some forward switches this week, I've got 2 free transfers, so I think Saka to Palmer could be pretty obvious if Saka is out, because I want Palmer long term anyway. But the forward options, particularly in that cheaper bracket, is really nice. So let's go cheap. Let's go 6.9 or less, and have a look at some of these forwards so far this season. And I'm going to pick out some players that I've really liked the look of. And Wissa is definitely going to be involved in that. So, Raul, Jimenez, Wissa. Don't think I'd be going for Welbeck now. He might be injured anyway, to be honest. So, yeah, probably not going to go there. Cunha is interesting for sure. we've got, I think Calvert-Lewin is probably a thing of the past. Wood, João Pedro, when he comes back at 5.4, could be an absolute steal, but can't really talk about him quite yet until he is back. Strand Larsen, another really impressive player. I think, do you throw Delap in there? Has Delap used up his hype? I've got to try and think forward a little bit here. So these are the kind of forwards I'm looking at to bring into my team. I've looked at all of them today. I've been whilst the Liverpool game was on, I was so scared during that Liverpool. I have double Liverpool defence, so most of that game was very scary until Jackson scored, and then it was like, okay, at least I don't need to worry about it anymore. You know, it's done now. The hope has gone, and it's the hope that kills you. But I was having a look at some forwards that I might want to bring in, particularly in this bargain price range. Now, Cunha's a little bit more expensive than some of the others at 6.5. Wood is up there at 6.3. But both these players have phenomenal fixtures from an attacking point of view in particular. Wood immediately has a great fixture. Let's find him. We did have a look at the fixtures earlier, to be fair. But Leicester, amazing. West Ham at home, amazing. Newcastle at home, amazing. Arsenal away, well, who knows. But then Ipswich at home. So if you're looking for someone a little bit short term, Chris Wood is there for the taking. And then because there is so many great cheap forwards at the moment, well, come to Man City and this run of fixtures. If you don't like the look of that, sell him. Sell him for someone else. Because there's so many options. Raul Jimenez has obviously been in good form as well. One thing that I do like about Wood and Cunha, and yes, they are a little bit more expensive, but they are their team's penalty takers, which I think does add a level to appeal there. Raul, Wissa and Strand Larsen, not penalty takers. But Raul Jimenez has been in really nice form. So I wonder if he needs to be considered. Now that, I guess, I was going to say now the Aston Villa fixture is out of the way, but he scored in that one. Everton away, though, I don't think it's I don't think it's the perfect jumping on point. And there are some good fixtures in here, but there are also some less good fixtures in here. So I think you do get a bit of a mixed bag from Fulham. An attacker in good form will score against anyone, but still, it's not like seamless. It's not a seamless run. Whereas someone like Wood is maybe a slightly nicer run than him. Cunha has got a nicer run than him. Wissa at Brentford has got a nicer run than him as well. So I'd say that Jimenez is putting up the best numbers, but he's not on penalties, and the fixtures are probably, out of these 5, the fixtures are worse for him. So I guess that depends if you value fixtures or form more. Do you value penalties more? It's kind of up to you. Khalifa says DCL or Vardy out. It's so difficult because both of these players have great fixtures in 10. Vardy against Ipswich. I'm very tempted to keep Vardy until the Ipswich game. I'm very tempted. Don't know for sure what I'll do there yet. I mean, I could remove Vardy now and keep Havertz, to be honest. If I wanted to do Vardy to Wissa, for example, because it's a nice jumping on point for him, then that would work this week. And Strand Larsen, maybe. I probably wouldn't do Strand Larsen this week, to be honest. But if you think Wissa's going to start against Ipswich at home, his numbers are crazy, by the way, when he starts. Really, really good. Really impressive. He could be one to look at. But I don't think Calvert-Lewin and Vardy both are penalty takers as well. I don't think I'd be rushing them out. They both have okay fixtures in 9 and very good fixtures in 10. So for that reason, I don't think I would definitely sell them. Like, surely you've got bigger issues in your team. Pereiro missed his pen, so Jimenez could get the next one. I mean, Jimenez should be on penalties anyway, to be honest. He's got an amazing penalty record. Could be onto something there, though. It's a good point. I didn't really consider that. If Raul Jimenez is on penalties, I think that changes things. I think that definitely improves him in the pecking order of forwards to go for. I still don't love Everton away. I still don't love this as a fixture. Brentford at home, I do love. I think 10 is a good jumping on point for him. But obviously, maybe you need to make the move this week. What are your thoughts on Son? A lot of people asking about Son. All right. Well, I mean, the first things first is, would we still be speaking about Son if he hadn't been given the assist? An extra bonus point. Because obviously he had a lovely big haul in... I don't want to go on about this one too much, but... he was given an assist that, by any definition of FPL's rules, is not an assist. And for those of you guys who didn't watch the game, he took a shot at Areola. Areola deflected the ball back onto... who was the defender? Todibo. So Areola deflects the ball back to Todibo. The ball bounces back off Todibo, back to Areola, and it comes off Areola again and goes into the net, and Areola is credited with the own goal. Honestly, it is occasionally we see FPL just messes it up. They just screw up. This was one of those occasions. By their own definitions of the rules, by any definitions of the rules, it is not a Son assist. And it is a shame that the credibility of FPL points has to come into question sometimes, because it kind of makes you think, yeah, we all obsess over those big points, those big ranks. But if the points are just being given for things that, I don't know, things that haven't even happened, like we've seen before, Solly March not getting awarded his goal, or Bruno Fernandes getting given an assist where he didn't touch the ball. Occasionally you get things like this, and it's like, yeah, okay. Okay, guys. But yeah, Son, he scored it. We know Son's goal threat is very, very low when in general play, when he's playing on the wing. In this occasion, it was a game state goal where Spurs were able to counter-attack against the West Ham team that were already down. And Son is one of those players who when your team is winning, Son thrives. If Spurs are drawing or maybe only winning by one goal, then Son's threat when playing in the wing position is diminished significantly. But if Spurs go a couple of goals up, the opposition team pushes up the field, Son can counter-attack, it's curtains. That's the moments he thrives. So it's a game state goal that he scored and an assist that wasn't an assist. Can we depend on this happening every week? Well, certainly not the assist. Assists like that will be given once a season. So we know the assist is not replicatable. As for the goal, can we see Crystal Palace slipping a couple of goals behind and then Son being unlocked as a winger? Maybe. Aston Villa, maybe. Ipswich, yes. It is a knee-jerk to go for Son this week. It is. That's not to say it won't work. Son is a great player, and when he gets opportunities to score, you trust him to score them. Really clinical. But what we've seen so far this season, like you can easily point to the game he was playing. You look through these numbers, these XG numbers, you can easily point to the game he was playing as striker because Solanke was injured. It's right there. 1.14 XG. Because the Postecoglou systems do favour the striker. Outside of that, I mean, look at these numbers, man. We're looking at, what, one shot per game? Well, let's have a look at Son's numbers. Let's just refresh this. I know I'm being pretty down on Son, but... And I don't want to say he's a bad FPL asset. He's not. Any player who costs that amount of money is going to be at somewhat decent. The question more is he worth the money? And by going for him, what do you sacrifice elsewhere? The time to go for him, in fairness, probably was before the West Ham game because they are such a weak defence. But when we look at Son here, let's exclude game week 2. So let's go from game week 3 onwards. 2 shots per game. 0.46 XG total in the 4 game weeks since he was, well, He was playing striker in game week 3 as well, actually. So let's remove that as well. It hasn't changed much, to be honest. 0.36 XG total. That's not per game. That's total. In his last 3 fixtures. The only game where he's got significant chances to score was game week 2. Game week 1, again, he was playing on the wing. 1 shot, 0.03 XG. Is he reliable? And to be fair to Son, he will outperform his XG. He doesn't need much of a chance to score. But I think it's worth, if you are going for Son, and he disappears for a game, you know why. But if Spurs are doing well, Son's doing well. If Spurs are drawing games or losing games, Son is hampered. Brady says still better than an injured Saka. Of course he is. Yeah. He's definitely better than an injured Saka, but we don't know that yet. To be fair, if you were on a wild card right now, I still think I'd probably take Palmer over Son. There's a bit of a price difference there. Son hit the post straight after 2. He did. But again, it was a game state counter-attack. So it relies on Spurs being ahead. That's when Son thrives. And I know this sounds like criticism. Like when I say, Palmer, he sometimes struggles in games against tougher teams. Or Son struggles when his team isn't ahead. This isn't meant as criticism towards the player, but more analysis on when you can expect a player to perform well. Because it's not saying this player is never going to score goals and be an effective FPL asset. It's just identifying the situations in which the player can do well, which I think is very useful. If you were wildcarding in 12, wouldn't you go for Son over Palmer? I don't know. I think it's probably tight between them. Or is it? Is it tight? Son has the better fixtures, but Palmer, let's just go midfielders. Well, actually, I go for Salah over all 3, probably. Actually, maybe not, because Salah also has a good fixture in 12. But if we look at the expensive, let's just go 8 million or more midfielders. And I don't know, let's go expected points per start, because Son has played a couple less games. You see Son in the same area as Foden, Fernandes and Ødegaard. You don't love that, do you, really? It's not great. Palmer, if the fixtures are equal, Palmer is the better pick. If prices are equal, Palmer is the better pick. So it's kind of up to you if you want to take your chances with it. I don't think Son is a bad pick. I really, really don't. And it has the potential to go very well. There are situations where Son does very well. I can very well wildcard in 12 if I wanted to, but I still think I'm leaning towards Palmer. But I have the money in the bank. Some people won't have money in the bank, so therefore the decision is made for you. If you go with Konate and Aït-Nouri, you could get Son, Saka, Palmer in your team, I guess. But I'm not going to make a whole bunch of transfers to do that. I'm not that bothered about. I'm just as happy with Brennan Johnson, to be honest. Who, by the way, put up better numbers than Son in game week 8. It's one of those things. So Brennan Johnson was the guy getting the chances in that game. He was super unlucky not to score, and his form has been phenomenal. So yeah, I'm happy with my guy Brennan Johnson. Don't you worry about that. Son, talk about flat track bully. Yeah, you could definitely categorise Son as a flat track bully as well. But that's a great way of getting FPL points. So look, I don't mind Son as a pick. I don't mind him, but I don't think he's a must buy. And it's going to depend on what your situation is. Kim says, when would you drop Haaland? A good jumping off point is probably 10 or 12, 13. But if I'm totally honest, unless you've got a wild card or multiple transfers to distribute those funds, then I'm not sure. Plus, I think when De Bruyne is back, I know I said this earlier, when De Bruyne is back, we may see our old Haaland back again, and then this whole conversation will be completely redundant. Completely redundant. So yes, Saka to Palmer or Son, both have their merits. Palmer is definitely the better long-term pick. Son means that you're going to have to transfer him back out again as well, which is something to consider. But Palmer is more expensive and has the tougher fixtures in the immediate term. It's only 3 game weeks, but still, if you're, it's going to depend on you a little bit there and your situation. Let's see. Is the missing link KDB or Rodri? I mean, Rodri didn't play the first few games, if I'm not mistaken. How many games was he out for at the start? I mean, he played 45 minutes there and 20 minutes there. We absolutely cannot use Rodri as an excuse. I mean, look at this, man. In the so what we've got here, a hat-trick in 2-3 and 2 goals in 4. Rodri was not playing for either of the hat-trick games, and he played 45 minutes for the brace game. So yeah, not something that I would be considering as a missing link for Haaland. And by the way, we look at De Bruyne. Very big correlation between De Bruyne being on the pitch for significant minutes and Haaland scoring goals. Big. The only game Haaland has scored where De Bruyne was not on the pitch was that goal against Arsenal. So there you go. I think it might be a De Bruyne thing. Do I triple captain Haaland now that De Bruyne will play in game week 9? I mean, do we know, well, first of all, do we know De Bruyne? We don't know De Bruyne is going to play in game week 9. We have a good idea. But if you triple captain Haaland and then you find out De Bruyne is not in the starting 11, you might find yourself a little bit worried. Why do you think Foden was benched? Honestly, no idea, man. Honestly, no idea. It's utterly bizarre. Is there a chance Foden gets bonus points? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Who it's going to be? Strand Larson will get 3. Gvardiol will get 2. And who will get the other one? John Stones? Nah. Maybe. Not sure. Who got the assist for the Gvardiol goal? I have no idea who got the assist for the Gvardiol goal. All I remember is it rocketing off his right foot from nowhere. I wasn't paying attention to the pass before that. Doku. Okay. I don't think Doku will get bonus, though. I don't think he had a particularly good game. I mean, I actually don't know. Should we just have a look? Have they put it on their Twitter yet? Official FPL. Do they have like their provisional bonus points? They should do somewhere. No, it doesn't seem to say. Maybe someone knows in the chat. Someone could look it up. There we go. Right, guys, we've been streaming for how long? 45 minutes, a little bit longer than that. So we will go into the last 15 minutes of the stream now. By the way, I do want to apologise. By the way, I'm very aware that I'm not super animated, excited, or whatever. You can click the score on the FPL page. That's such a good point. I didn't know if it would have updated yet though. Bonus points: Strand Larson, Gvardiol, and Stones. Yeah, nailed it. Maybe Doku might sneak in. We'll see. But yeah, I do apologise that I haven't been super energetic today. I'm still feeling quite under the weather, but yeah, hopefully next week will be a bit better. But yeah, we'll go to the last 15 minutes, and as we always do, we'll do some Q&A stuff. So guys, have I covered everything I wanted to talk about today? I wanted to talk about Haaland, Arsenal defenders, Wolves defenders, and forward options. And we spoke about Saka replacements as well. We spoke about Son. I think I covered all the main things. We haven't spoken about... Well, we spoke about the Son assist. We haven't spoken about the FPL cartel meme, but I think we'll probably leave that one, to be honest. Now, let's just go to the chat. We'll speak about whatever you want. Get some questions in, and whilst we do that, we'll have a look at some price changes, because this might actually impact my my moves. So nice to see. So my selling price on Saka is 10 million, right? So I don't need to... So by the way, guys, big note. If you bought Saka at 10 million, he is probably going to go down in price tonight, but it's not going to impact you. Your selling price will still be 10 million, which is really nice. Really, very nice indeed. But we can see Brennan Johnson and Mbermo go up tonight. Nice stuff. Jackson is predicted to go down tonight, but now that he's scored, I wonder if he might survive. Because I don't think... if I still had Jackson for Gameweek 9, I don't think I would sell him. I don't think I'd sell him at this point. I think I'd just stick with him. The only thing is that there's so many cheap forwards right now that look good. But Johnson and Burmo up. Is anyone still waiting to get these guys? Maybe. We've got Bruno, no one has him. McAllister, no one has him. Saka, we spoke about. If you bought Saka at 10.1, you might think about selling. And then Van der Ven's going up. I don't know if Van der Ven's worth it at 4.7, to be fair. And same with McNeil at 5.8. Son is due up tomorrow, so you can wait another day to do Saka to Son if you want to. I'm going to try, if Palmer can stay at his price he currently is, which he might do. I'm going to try and wait until Tuesday before making the Saka to Palmer move, because we need to... I want to see if Saka is available for midweek. But hey, I don't mind this. Keane, be very careful about Keane, because I don't think Branthwaite is out for too long. Oh, and my cat has just wandered into the room. He's going to jump up on the side any second now. Let's clear some room for him. Alright, if the cat jumps up, I will introduce him to anyone who hasn't seen him before. Here he is. Alright, come on then. A little tangent. A little quick tangent, but... Hello, buddy. You come to say hello? People can't see you. Come into frame. Come forward a little bit. This is my... Let's move down a little bit. There you go. This is my best bud. His name is Milton. He is 5. And honestly, like, because I don't go out to the office, because obviously I work for myself, I work from home and have done for as long as I can remember. And my wife is a paramedic, so she works very long, often night hours. This guy is honestly my best mate. His name is Milton, and we are usually inseparable. And the only reason he is even in this room today is because I forgot to close the door. He's always clawing at that door. He wants to come in. But yeah, that's my bud, Milton the cat. And he's a lovely boy. Right, anyway, back to FPL. Right. So, okay, we said we're going to answer some final questions. We've had a look at some price changes. Let's do that. Oh, wait, Gavardiol increased tomorrow as well. I missed that one. Rodgers as well. Semenyo going down. If Semenyo at 5.6 or maybe even 5.5 could be really nice from Game Week 12. Sometimes it's nice to see players dropping in price, because you're kind of thinking, well, I want to get that player later down the line, so I'd quite like them to drop. And then it's always nice when your own players go up in price as well, of course. But there we go. Right. Questions in the chat. What you got? Mohammed says, so if De Bruyne 100% plays, I triple captain Haaland. I don't think it is a must do decision, but it is certainly something that I would strongly consider. I'm probably not going to do it, probably not going to do it, but I understand the theory. I understand why people would do it. For sure. What else have we got here? Thoughts on Pinnock as a Saliba replacement? The fixtures look pretty good, and he does have that occasional goal threat. It's a potential, yeah. There's some potential there. I do prefer Nori though. I do prefer Nori. And Gavardio, actually. Tommy says, hope Raya drops in price so I can get him in my wildcard 12. Yeah, I agree with that one. Diaz to Johnson right now. Are price changes happening right now? Do we need to worry about that immediately? Oh, yeah, Johnson going up to 6-7 tonight. Would I do that right now? I would strongly consider it, yeah. I would strongly consider it because we know he's nailed on. The fixtures continue to be pretty good. At least in the immediate term. I'm going to say yes. Jota to Johnson. It depends how bad it's like. It could be a potential like rib injury, like bruised ribs, or if you've got a cracked rib, then he's probably in trouble. In terms of injury layoff, but it's tough, man. Would I do that right now? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. If Johnson is the guy you've identified as the guy you want, then it makes sense as a transfer. Frees up some budget as well for later down the line. So yeah, I like both. Johnson or Mbeumo. If I had neither Johnson or Mbeumo, I would get Mbeumo first. He would be my priority guy against Ipswich at home. He'd be the priority. And then Johnson is probably still my second favourite midfielder to buy from that non-premium category. So I do really like these two. And I'm not just saying that because I have them. I have them because I like them. You know. Trent to Gavardio. No, I don't think Trent is a sell. Solanke or Jimenez? Ooh. That's a good question. It depends on what you would be using the money for elsewhere. Because there's a 2 million price difference. If you've got your eye on some other transfer moves and you're thinking, oh, that 2 million, he's fallen asleep. This is so cute. He's fallen asleep right there. Bless his little heart. Yeah, if you think you can use that 2 million effectively elsewhere, then for sure I would strongly consider going for Raul Jimenez. Is Diaz to Palmer and Trent to Dalot good? I don't love Trent to Dalot. I don't love that one. Trent to Nori, I can get on board with that one. Should I get Gavardio? Yeah, he's definitely a player to consider. But like I'm talking about if you have a Saliba. A Saliba is a player you pretty much have to sell. Outside of that, I think defender transfers should be pretty low priority because clean sheets are really hard to predict. And they have been again this week. I mean, Brighton against Newcastle. Everton against Ipswich, maybe a little easier to predict. Bournemouth against Arsenal, impossible to predict, man. I think Bournemouth had the lowest odds of a clean sheet. They had something like it was Wolves. But I think Bournemouth had something like a 12% chance of a clean sheet. So difficult to call. Liverpool have been the only reliable assets. So if you're selling Liverpool defenders, then I'm not so keen on selling them because they have actually been reliable. Dan, would you sell Gabriel or Solanke to get money for Palmer? I don't think I would be, if you're trying to force a Palmer move this week, I don't think I would do it. If you're looking to sell Saka and you have to force a Palmer move by selling other players, then I would maybe just go for Son on the basis of that. Havertz replacements. If you're going for a Havertz replacement and you have ideas of, like, for example, I have an idea of trying to get a team eventually that includes Haaland, Palmer, and Saka. And if I want to do that, then I need to kind of cut some corners somewhere. And one way of doing that is downgrading downgrading Havertz to a cheaper guy. And as we mentioned earlier, there's plenty of options there. So pick your poison. Wood, Raul, maybe Wissa. Whistler is a little riskier, but I do like him as a pick a lot. That's where I'd be going. And then little shout out to Strand Larson if you fancy a differential. Cunha, if you fancy going that way. You don't save as much money going for Cunha, though. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. Dan, should I sell Timber and Saka for Palmer and Aït-Nouri? As a double transfer, I like that. I do like that. Why are you selling Salah, mate? I don't have Salah, so I haven't had Salah all season actually, so I'm not looking to get Vardy out soon. Yeah, Vardy does not make it past game week 10. He should be out by game week 11 for me. I kind of do want to have a go on that Ipswich fixture. But in fairness, I might even transfer him out this week. I do have 2 free transfers. So there's potential for me to remove him this week. If I don't remove him this week, it will be in 11. So yeah, he's definitely not a long-term hold for me, personally. Should I get Cunha or Strand Larson? Cunha puts up better numbers and is on penalties, but obviously it's more expensive. So weigh it up. I think a lot of these decisions have to be down to what could I do with the money I save? What can I do? Saka to Palmer and Diaz to Garnacho. How much is Garnacho these days? I actually don't know. 6? 7? 6.5? 6.2. I feel like is there other midfielders we can go for in that price bracket? I mean, if you can go for Johnson, I would go there, but he might be slightly out of your price range. Let's see here. Let's go 6.6 or less. Madueke probably not. McNeil. I prefer McNeil to... Garnacho did score this week, didn't he? And he's back in the starting 11. West Ham next. We've got Leicester coming up. Ipswich there. I'm not totally against Garnacho, to be fair. I'm not totally against that one. That wouldn't be a pick I would go for ordinarily. But the timing is pretty good. The timing was probably better last game week because Brentford have been pretty poor defensively. But yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm down. Saka out for how long though? As in how long is he out for? I have no idea how long he's out for, and Arteta certainly won't tell us. So we'll see. If I was to sell Saka, I'd be looking to bring him back in by game week 13 against West Ham. Maybe 12. If you're on a wild card, you maybe bring him back in 12. Who's the best captain apart from Haaland? Smith Rowe or Rodgers? Definitely not one of them. The best captain outside of Haaland is probably Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo is probably the second best captain for game week 9 this week. Mohit says I was addressing someone in the chat. I apologise, my friend. Kabalash says Saka to Palmer and Gabriel to Aït-Nouri. Is that the only way you can free up the budget to do the Saka to Palmer move? If so, maybe. Target Brentford defenders for set piece chances and fixtures. You have good set piece chances, but Brentford are a horror defence. They can see goals like crazy, man. Thoughts on Diaz? Probably a sell at this point. I don't think there's much point in taking a risk on Diaz moving forward. Hablash says, if I do the moves, it will be for hits down. I probably wouldn't do it then, man. Personally. Can't see Saka not playing next week, says Shane. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. The thing is with Arteta, it is so difficult to tell. Like, we cannot say anything with certainty. Like, Saka, when we know there's potential injury problems, until we see him back in the starting lineup or getting some minutes from the bench. Sorry, Cat. Until we see that, it's so difficult to tell. He becomes another Luis Diaz in a way. To use a Cat as a reference, maybe Cat's from my mind, but it's Schrodinger's FPL asset. You don't have a clue if they're going to start until you see them starting. And an injured player or a potentially injured player under Arteta is exactly that. Hamstring injuries are normally 1 month minimum out. We don't know how severe the injury is, though. We don't know. Who's the best option for Wood? He's been good, but he's on an every other week run. I would not be selling Wood. No way. I'm thinking about buying Wood. Thoughts on Wissa? We already spoke about him. Really like him as a pick. At least Arsenal play midweek. Absolutely. Absolutely. Midweek is going to be a great indicator for us as FPL managers. Really, really useful stuff. So, yeah, very glad about that one. What else? A few more questions and then we'll wrap things up. Thoughts on the FPL cartel? I'm not touching that one. Am I touching that one? There isn't. I don't think there is a cartel. If there is, I'm certainly not in it. There is potential that some FPL managers. Well, we know some FPL managers. Some will be content creators. Some people will just be normal everyday FPL managers. Some people will occasionally get leaks and then choose not to share them, or maybe they'll be told, "Please do not share this." And maybe that happened for certain people. Others, maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't want to put a tinfoil hat on, but I agree. Some people will have had leaks and then would have not shared that information. That doesn't mean there's something going on in group chats, though. And it doesn't mean that people were being intentionally disingenuous. Some people might not have had a choice whether to share the information. And a lot of people, it would have just been a coincidence that they sold Saka. Maybe they were already planning it. So we'll leave it there. I think that's a fairly balanced view on things. Okay. The group chat is real. It's not. There are group chats. There are. But a lot of the stuff that's leaked is one-to-one. A lot of the leaks I get is a one-to-one, not through any group chat. And then from the one-to-one, maybe it gets put in group chats after that. But yeah, guys, I will tell you this. If I ever get leaks, I will always tell you. I will always tell you guys. And I feel like we've been pretty good for that. Should we hold Semenyo? If you can bench him, yes. Thoughts on Gavardio and Stockport County. Not got too much to say on Stockport County, but Gavardio, I like as an FPL asset. He's in my team. Like him. All right, I think we'll wrap things up there, guys, because yeah, my nose is starting to stream, unfortunately. I'm streaming. My nose thought that it wanted to get involved with some of the streaming. Unfortunately, the streaming that's coming out of my nose is less pleasant. But guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, apologies, we're not as active and dynamic and upbeat and, I don't know, maybe as usual. Hopefully, next couple of days, I'll be feeling better. I think I'm definitely on the mend. So that's all good. We'll do it. I'll still do the podcast tomorrow. So I'll go to the podcast studio tomorrow. Maybe I have to wear my COVID mask for the recording. So there'll be a podcast out on Tuesday, but I'll keep a void on Tuesday as well, and then videos as normal. So yeah, thank you so much. Leave a like before you go. That would be massively appreciated. Do subscribe if you haven't done already. That would be awesome. And yes, indeed, guys. Good luck for the final game of Gameweek 8, because it's not over yet. There's still a chance that we could be saved if we've still got some players left. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.